Dawn crept quietly over our cul-de-sac, painting the world in soft gold until Grandpa burst into the kitchen, a thundercloud in slippers. I was mid-bite, cereal spoon frozen, when he growled, "She's at it again." No need to ask who. Karen, the self-appointed queen of the Homeowners Association, crusader for curb appeal, sworn enemy of whimsy. She'd banished gnomes, outlawed twinkling lights after 10, and now, apparently, she'd crossed a new line. Grandpa slapped a letter onto the table, HOA letterhead glaring up at us, cursive looping like a snake. "She parked 2 trucks in our garage," he said, voice tight. The note was pure Karen. No call, no warning, just a key under our doormat and a claim that her nephew's trucks would be, temporarily, staying. The beasts themselves, diesel, hulking, loud, blocked Grandpa's wood shop like sentinels. Grandpa rarely raised his voice. He didn't need to. But that morning, his silence was a gathering storm. I trailed him outside. There they were, 2 metallic monsters squatting in our garage as if they belonged. Grandpa stared them down, jaw set. Then, without a word, he pressed the garage remote, watched the door rumble shut, and locked the side entrance. "She can explain herself to the police," he said, voice low. "Let her come get them." My eyes went wide. "You're calling the cops?" "She trespassed, used our home like a parking lot. She's about to learn what private property means." By 10, Karen was on our driveway, pacing, phone glued to her ear, pounding on the garage door. She looked scandalized, as if we were the villains. "You can't do this! That's theft!" she shrieked. Grandpa, calm as a pond, sipped his coffee on the porch. "I'm not touching them, just securing my property. The police will handle it." And handle it they did. A bewildered officer arrived, Karen waving her HOA badge like a shield, Grandpa queuing up security footage. Karen, clear as day, unlocking our garage without permission. The officer turned to her, voice even. "Ma'am, this is trespassing, unlawful entry." Karen's jaw dropped. For once, she was speechless. She wasn't used to resistance, especially not from Grandpa, who met her bluster with unshakable calm. The officer let her off with a warning, ordered the trucks gone. Karen stomped away, beige heels stabbing the grass, thunder in her wake. By noon, the trucks had vanished, but the air still crackled with unfinished business. That afternoon, every inbox in the neighborhood pinged. "Emergency HOA meeting tonight, security breach." Grandpa didn't flinch. "She's spinning it," I said, reading over his shoulder. "Trying to make you the villain." He just polished his old medals, eyes glinting. Let her try. She picked the wrong veteran. By 6, the clubhouse was packed, neighbors squeezed in with folding chairs and wary glances. Karen stood at the front, flanked by board. Members, her speech a masterclass in selective memory. "I was simply storing my nephew's vehicles for 24 hours as a courtesy," she declared. "But a certain resident locked my property away and called the police. It was a gross overreaction. We must address this breakdown in trust." Grandpa raised his hand. "May I respond?" Karen's smile was tight. Briefly, he stood steady. "I have footage of you unlocking my garage and parking vehicles without permission. That's not a breakdown in trust. That's a violation of property rights. You used your position to cross boundaries, and I'm not the only one." Heads turned. Whispers grew. Other neighbors spoke up. Stories of Karen's surprise inspections, petty fines, even an attempted eviction over loud curtains. The room buzzed with old grievances. Grandpa's voice cut through. "I propose a vote. Effective immediately, the board should review the president's conduct and set limits on unilateral authority, especially regarding private property." A ripple of agreement swept the room. Karen's voice rose, brittle. "This is a witch hunt." But the motion passed. For the first time, the neighborhood's self-crowned monarch faced real consequences. As we left, Grandpa chuckled. "That went better than expected." I glanced back at Karen, furiously texting. "She's not done." He nodded. "Number this is just the eye of the storm." 3 days of silence followed. No flyers, no emails, no violations taped to our door. Too quiet. Grandpa, reorganizing his now truck-free garage, muttered, "She's plotting." Mark my words. On the 4th day, the mail arrived. 5 citations, all from the HOA, all dated after the meeting. Lawn too long, noise complaints, flagpole too tall, each more absurd than the last. Grandpa opened them one by one, eyebrows climbing. Then he laughed. "She's desperate, throwing spaghetti at the wall." "What now?" I asked. He grinned. "Give her what she wants, an audience." He spent the next day filing formal appeals, copying the entire HOA mailing list, attaching photos that proved every claim false. He scheduled public hearings for each violation. The neighborhood watched. That night, our security camera pinged. Karen, lurking at the end of our driveway, snapping photos in the dark. At 10, police knocked. "Noise complaint. Power tools." Grandpa gestured to his silent workbench. "Everything's unplugged. Been asleep since 9. Want to see the footage?" The officer smiled, weary. "Wouldn't be the first false call from this address. We'll file a report." Grandpa invited him in, poured coffee, laid out the whole saga, from trucks to citations. The officer took notes, promised to forward everything to the city's civil harassment unit. "She's escalating," I said. "That's what desperate people do," Grandpa replied, stepping onto the porch surveying the quiet street. "But the more she pushes, the more she reveals herself." He paused, a sly smile. "And I've got one move left." "What kind of move?" He just grinned. "Let's just say the HOA's about to get a new kind of president." The following week, Grandpa was unstoppable. He didn't want revenge. He wanted change. When the board announced a special election for president, Grandpa filed his candidacy that very afternoon. Karen was livid. "No one's ever run against her," Mrs. Cortez whispered, eyes wide. "Your grandpa's got guts?" Flyers went out. Word spread. Grandpa's campaign was simple. No drama. No power trips. Just a neighbor who wants peace, privacy, and fairness. Karen, meanwhile, launched a full campaign, door-to-door visits, glossy signs, a perfectly manicured yard. Election night, the clubhouse buzzed like a beehive. Residents packed in, some with popcorn, anticipation thick in the air. Karen's speech was polished, full of empty promises about community harmony. Grandpa stepped up, no notes, just steady conviction. "I served my country. I paid off my house. I fixed my own fences and baked cookies for my grandkids. What I don't do is use power to bully my neighbors. This isn't about me or Karen. It's about the kind of neighborhood we want to live in." Applause thundered. Karen scoffed.